Welcome back, Tailoring Talkers. We are back where we belong, back in the M2. Wow, what an interesting day. So for those of you that saw the last video, I swapped my M2 G87 for an MG, I can't even remember what it's called now, MG3 I think it's called, like a little hatchback, which compared to this can only be described as tinny. If this is the Millennium Falcon, Star Wars fans, then that thing was worse than an A-Wing, basically. So why did I go up to CT Carbon today? Well, the reason why, and I'm very grateful first of all to Harry and the boys, we had some problems with the installation, where basically with heat and so on, the tape, and they use the best tape, but unfortunately you just can't avoid it sometimes it happens and we learn, but basically the front ducts and the rear canards were just starting to reveal a bit of a gap, and then obviously with washing and so on, water getting in, obviously any water finds a gap, it always finds a way, and it was just making the issue even worse. So I sent some photos to CT Carbon, and bearing in mind that they did this work over 6 months ago, and there will be people that be like, it's your consumer rights, blah blah blah. But, you know, in this day and age, not many companies are willing to sort of fess up and put things right, unfortunately, consumer rights or not. And Harry and the boys at CT Carbon have done everything that they could to sort this problem out. And the way that we sorted out in the end, and so this is maybe some information for some of you that are looking to get your M2s carboned up, whether you go for the M Performance body kit from BMW or you go to CT Carbon or Auto ID, they do use tape. I mean, BMW, I remember when they sent me a 15 grand quote for pretty much what I had CT Carbon do for about less than a third of the price. But on there was itemized, like double-sided tape this, double-sided tape that. They just stick everything on. So what the boys have done, they said, look, the best way to do it is to use like a resin or chem fix, but it does mean that you'll never be able to get those parts off. And, you know, I thought about it long and hard, and you know, I don't really want to get rid of this car, but if I do, it's going to get sold with the carbon kit anyway, because why wouldn't it? I mean, I know there are one or two of you that think this looks Halfords, but I like it, and let me tell you something, a lot of people really love the look of my car. I get so many people, every drive I do, I get people either stop me, wave at me, put their thumbs up, put their blinkers on in appreciation. This car gets a lot of attention in a positive way. Even parked outside my house on the drive, I'll be out putting the bins out or something, and people will make a point to stop and they want to talk about the car and how amazing it looks. So for the one or two people that, you know, what I've done to it is a bit Marmite and they would rather have it stock, that's all well and good. You do you. But but be kinder in the comments, would you? So anyway, so I said to the guys, I said, look, I'm not intending to take any of this off, and that was the whole reason for doing it, was to beef the car up. And I said, let's go for it. And it's given a much, much better result. You know, it sits nice and flush now. There's no gaps or anything on either the front air ducts or the rear canards. And yeah, you know, very happy. Hopefully it's all dried off and it'll all hold up, but yeah, very grateful to the guys at CT Carbon. Here's the thing, right? Not everybody gets everything right first time, but when there is a problem, it shows who someone is or who a company is, where in the way that they work hard to put it right. It did take a little bit of time to get to today, but we did get there, and I'm very, very grateful. So shout out to Harry and the CT Carbon boys. you've learnt a few things, and anyone else that brings a G87 in, you know, little couple of tweaks, you know what to do and how to advise them. So learning process. Now, am I happy? I'll tell you what, when I pulled up, so for those of you that haven't seen the last video, and I apologise for my voice, I'm recovering from a cold, my throat is so sore. I basically, CT Carbon said, would you like to take a courtesy car for the day? And I jumped for joy, because I've been admiring their souped up G87s, F87s. They had an Audi something or other there as well. It was an RS, I think it was an RS3. And I was like a kid at Christmas who's been told you can raid Hamleys, like have whatever you want. And they gave me the key, and it was basically an MG3. This tiny little black 5-door hatchback with a manual gearbox, ropey as anything. So that's what I've been driving around in today. And when I pulled up in the car park earlier, my car's parked there all ready to come back to me. I honestly, I love this car when I look at it anyhow, but I think I've never looked at it the way that I looked at it this afternoon. And I'm very, very happy to be back in the cabin. So the first thing that I noticed today, and other G87 owners tell me if I'm not making it up, but I'm sure the glass on this is heat reflective or heat attenuating or whatever. No, noise attenuating and heat reflective. Because the car's been sat out in 27-degree heat since 10 o'clock this morning because they needed the resin to dry. The other car, the MG3, that was sat outside my house for, I swear to God, like 3 or 4 hours. And it was like an oven when I got, like I couldn't even touch the steering wheel. It was so bloody hot. So that's the first thing that I don't think about, and maybe you wouldn't think about as an M2 owner, or even I'm sure the M3s and the M4s have the same thing. That is a really, really great daily benefit when the weather's hot. Because who likes getting in a car and having a... Next thing in my lap of appreciation for the G87 is climate control. Again, car's been sat there all day in 27 degrees. I get in, I start the engine within literally a minute or two. It's nice and cool in here. I was sweating buckets in that other thing for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. It was crazy. And this is a BMW thing. Other people that drive Mercs and God knows what won't appreciate this. But it's the ease of use. So I couldn't use the CarPlay in that car because for some reason it wouldn't work. And that caused all sort of problems because Harry was trying to call me to find out, you know, what time I was bringing the courtesy car back and picking my car up. But then he wasn't on speaker, so he was having to shout so I could hear him. The radio's going off. When you get in a BMW, the infotainment, it just works. Wireless CarPlay has been one of my favourite things about all the BMWs I've owned, from the Supra to the Mini John Cooper Works to this. Just get in the car, slap your phone down, everything just works. Absolutely brilliant. Next up, and this goes without saying, it's the luxury of having a ridiculous amount of power that you don't need. My Supra was spec'd at 335 horsepower. I think still stock those things on that B58 are putting out at least 380. But anyway, let's go with the official figures, right? So 335 horsepower on a Supra, that car shifts like anything. And so does this with 150 odd horsepower more quoted. And having that much power on tap means if you know how to drive and you know your car, you can get out of situations in a snap because things happen on the road. Information is another thing that I really, really appreciate. The fact that I've got this big swooping screen. I have to confess, I wasn't sure about it at first. All these cars, the Mustang, BMWs, they're all going to these big swooping displays. Wasn't sure about it, but now I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate having information in the glass with the head-up display, and then having all the additional information and it being so configurable as well, because it means I barely need to take my eyes off the road. I'm literally just in this very small little triangle here. You know, I can dart my eyes in microseconds and see what I need to see. And you know, the other thing I really love is iDrive. Oh god, I think that's why I'm such a BMW person, because I don't understand why the manufacturers don't do it. It's so much safer. My wife's Hyundai, she as well, you have to keep stabbing at the bloody screen. And people will go, well, you should pull over and do that. Well, sometimes you need to access something really quick and you can't do that. But then with the vibration of the car, you're kind of trying to look here, your finger's missing, whatever. The great thing with iDrive and the iDrive controller is you just turn the wheel and it does its thing. It's brilliant. And next up is the quiet. This is such a lovely place to be. Now, it's not going to be Rolls-Royce or Bentley levels of quiet, or an S-Class, or maybe a BMW 8 or 7 Series levels of quiet, but compared to what I was driving all day, I couldn't hear myself think in that car, whereas in this, it's so lovely to be here. Whenever I have my wife in the car, we can have a conversation without shouting at each other. And I must remember that I've actually got a microphone here, so I don't know why I'm shouting at my camera over there when I've got a mic here. I don't need to talk so loud. But yeah, it's just the hum of the engine, a little bit of the exhaust every now and then when you kind of shift it. I really, really appreciate the automatic gearbox. I had a lot of fun driving a manual today. A lot of fun. Just really made me appreciate the car so much. Not just this car, any car. There's something about a manual gearbox that connects you to the car more, because you're working together to achieve your result. In an automatic, it's not quite like that. But when most of your driving is in town, like mine, the auto gearbox is a godsend, because I was in a bit of traffic quite often today and having to keep constantly working the clutch and changing up and down. What a pain. But the other thing as well that I learned today is that muscle memory, it never goes away, because having not driven a manual car in earnest for over 20 years, I was really worried about stalling that thing, messing up my gears, all of that stuff. But I got in, kind of worked out where the gears were, the biting point, how the clutch felt, all of that, and then I was off. And muscle memory just clicked in. So I learned to drive centuries ago. My driving instructor's name was Bob, and he used to get through probably a packet of 20 Bensons Bensons and Hedges are cigarettes, youngsters. We didn't have vapes back then. But he used to get through a pack of 20 every hour, 90-minute driving lesson. And he got me driving super smooth. All my friends would say that I'm a very smooth driver. And the reason why is because Bob, although he was old and white and grumpy and had brown fingernails from all the smoking and he stunk to high heaven, he was a bit of a Mr. Miyagi. So every driving lesson, he would light a cigarette and then he would put his... never open the windows. He'd light a cigarette and then he would put the rest of the packet on the dashboard, and it was a Citroen, like a Citroen AX, I think they were called, like a little two-door hatchback that I learned to drive in. He would put the cigarette packet on the dashboard and then he'd say, right, off we go. That must not fall. And obviously the first couple of times that thing was flying off all over the place, but eventually I got to a stage where I could pretty much drive without that thing falling over. And he would do it for maneuvers as well, so reverse round the corner, 3-point turns, cigarette packet there, and then he'd be like, right, off you go. Don't drop the cigarette packet. So I'm really, really grateful for that. I mean, given that it was like probably 30 years ago, I don't even know if he's still alive, especially with the amount he was smoking. But, you know, if he's listening either up there or happens to stumble across this video and he remembers me from Thornton Heath, I'm very, very grateful, because you made me a decent driver. Now I'm doing track tuition with Adriano Medeiros from Box 3 Motorsport, and he, you know, if the other guy was Mr. Miyagi, this guy's freaking Yoda. I mean, he's amazing. And then the other thing I appreciate about this car is that I worked my way up to this vehicle. I didn't just go out and get it, and I worked really, really hard. I worked my way up through different cars. You know, the extra $4,000 I made on the JCW, the extra, God, what was it? I think about 8 I made on the Supra. All of that went into a separate savings account, and then obviously, you know, I'm working really hard as well. So any extra money just went into savings, and as soon as I had like around 65, 70k, I was like, right, you know, I don't get that imposter syndrome that I'm driving around in something that I couldn't really afford, which you know, I'm guessing a lot of people that you see driving around in Lambos and Ferraris and Porsches and even M cars, probably push come to shove wouldn't have the money outright to actually buy them. Not everyone, but a lot of people, because that's what finance does. Allows you to get that instant gratification. So that's the other thing I appreciate about this car, is that when I get in it, when I see it parked up, when anyone talks to me about it, when I'm editing videos about it, I just have that little bit of satisfaction that this car represents a body of work, a body of hard work that I've done over the last couple of decades. Working hard, scrimping, saving. When my business was shut down during COVID, I immediately, while I was figuring things out, I took jobs with Uber Eats and with Deliveroo. So I was delivering food all the way through the pandemic. And then we built a smart casual business. And that kept us afloat. And then our business came back post-pandemic, and then I quit the food jobs. But, you know, all of that, at one point I was working 3 jobs basically. And that's what this car means to me. It's well done you. You've worked really hard, you earned me. And that's why this car's so special. Now, I do want to talk about the body kit. So I've taken some B-roll of the outside of the car. And this is partly for people that have been interested in the CT Carbon kit, wanted to know what it involved, and it's also for people that said my car looks like shit, basically. So starting at the front, changed the front grille to carbon, changed the air ducts to carbon, and the front splitter was added. Sorry, the carbon air ducts were added. Moving around to the side skirts, obviously. And then when you move around to the back, we've got the lip spoiler, and then we've got the canards, and then we've got the rear diffuser in carbon as well. Why did I do it? Well, I liked the G87 when I first saw it. I thought it looked a little bit unusual from the F87. I always loved that car. But I liked it. I didn't really get all the Lego comments and so on. It just reminded me of an old, I'm going to get the numbers mixed up again, E30? Like from the 90s? Oh, there's someone, is that a Supra, like an old one with the, no, I wish I'd got a shot of that, because it's an old Supra, not the Fast and Furious one, the other one, the one before that. But you see, what that guy's done to that car is proper Marmite. And I love Marmite, by the way, but I mean, for people that hate my car and what I've done to it, I wish I could have taken a shot of that, because that was freaking ugly. So I'd always loved the design of this car, but it was just lacking in some areas. Like, I just felt it needed beefing up underneath because it sits a little bit too high. But then I didn't want to do the suspension straight away, mainly now because my driveway, now it's done, off the pavement it slopes down quite a lot, and I'm just worried that I'm already having problems getting on and off it without scraping the front splitter. I have to do the supercar method of taking a speed hump or going on and off a drive. If none of you know about that, have a look on YouTube and search for it. But basically you can't come off straight or go on straight. You sort of have to turn, so one wheel hits the thing first and then you go a little bit and then turn again. It's all in one fluid motion, but basically you're changing the tilt of the car so that you don't scrape the underside. I think it's called the supercar mount or something. And I just feel if I go and lower this 10 mil, which is what I really want to do, I won't be able to get the car on my drive. And some of you will be saying, well, why don't you just park on the pavement then and put a crook lock on it, or you've got a ghost, so why are you worried? Well, I just don't want people trying to get into my car. And when it's parked on my drive, it's blocked in by my Mrs. Hyundai, which nobody's going to try and nick. So her car kind of protects mine at night. You know what I really wanted was, when people see this car from behind, from the side, from the front, just makes them stop and just look again. Just do a little double take. And then if you've got a boy racer, it works because people think about it twice before they start trying to giddy you up or take you on at the lights or whatever. Because although nothing's been done to the engine, I've not had it tuned up or anything like that, the very fact that people can see I've spent money on the outside means I've probably got a tune. So even if they know what a G87 is capable of, they do tend to think twice. Now some of you will be watching this shaking your flipping heads, getting ready to bang your keyboards in the comments, but I've got this information firsthand. Because one of the first times I took the car out and I was at a set of traffic lights, and this guy in a RS3 came up next to me. Now I don't know about the LCI, but definitely the original G87 was pretty much no match for an RS3. Those cars are fantastic. But he wound his window down and he said, "Is that the new M2?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm not even going to bother. That thing looks fast." And I was thinking to myself, well, I wasn't going to bother anyway, because why would I? Also hadn't had the brake in at that point. But it just basically proved my thinking, my theory. And also, I've driven with friends who own McLarens and things like that, and when I've been behind them, they've said, especially with the yellow DRLs as well, that this car looks tough and mean when they see it coming in their rearview mirror. So I'm really happy with what I've done. I'm not going to do any more to it, but I just kind of wanted to enhance it, make it look a little bit more performance, tactical, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, aggressive. But you know what? Every time I look at it, every time I'm editing a video about it, every time I park it and walk away and do a look back, I just love it so much. I'm so happy with it. There's nothing I look at on this car and I think, I wish. Just minor things. It's not perfect, but they're minor things that can be sorted out. I can go to BMW. Do you know what? I might do it. The next time it goes for a service, I might just get them to quote for the M suspension so I don't invalidate the warranty. Thanks those of you in past videos who've commented and advised me on that, by the way, because it was something that stupidly I overlooked. And my wife has left a bottle of water in the car that had a leak. I've just picked it up because I needed a drink, and now there's water everywhere. It's fine, it's only water, but I'm going to keep this arm here and I'm not going to wave it around because it looks like I wet myself. I hate when people do that. The only person that's allowed to bring food into my car or drink is me. Hit the like button if you agree with that. So yeah, so there we go. There's not much more I can say really. I am really glad to be behind the wheel again. I've had a couple weeks away from the car because we've been to New York. There's a video about that coming soon. It's going to be a very big edit. And then we've also, I've just been busy, like our business has been so busy the last few months. It's been crazy, which I'm very, very grateful for. If you're ever in need of tailoring, you can check out Roberto Revilla London. If you just need style advice or whatever, obviously when I do these videos I'm not dressed up, but if you go to my Instagram at Roberto Revilla London, then you'll see what I'm all about and you'll see what my actual day job is. But yeah, just glad to be reunited with the car and be behind the wheel, and such a joy really to own and drive. Those of you that have your M2s, you know what to do. I want to hear from you. Say hi. We're starting to build a really lovely little community here. Those of you that don't have your M2s yet, but you've got them on order and you're still waiting, I know there are those of you that follow this channel that are expecting delivery in July, August, September. Give us an update. Let us know where your car is at in production. Has the delivery date moved up? We're all very, very excited for you. And as ever, if you've enjoyed this little drive with me, please drop a like, subscribe, and also use the comments to tell us what you would like to see in future videos. Thanks ever so much for watching. As always, we appreciate every single one of you. From me and the G87, we'll see you on the next one.